Hello, and welcome to Storyteller Tarot. Today's book highlight is Psy Touch by A.D. McLain. After the Psy storm, the world changed. Humans gained the ability to psychically influence other people with thought. When the Psy sex industry exploded, society began to break apart into a debauchery-filled experience of exploration and no rules. Lexi avoids the Psy dens and band-free zones. She's much happier wearing her inhibitor headband, which blocks all Psy ability. Jared is the opposite. He believes in a life free of the bands and exploring their natural gifts to their fullest. When the two cross paths, they have to rethink their way of life. But in a world where thinking is a crime, will their love become just a distant memory? Stick around at the end of the video for a small excerpt from Psy Touch by A.D. McLain. Hello. So let's get started with our reading. Today we have from our Mystic Carnival Oracle cards, self-control, balance between daring action and careful planning, consistent effort, the acrobat. From our Witch's Familiar Runic Oracle, we have two cards today. First, we have Thurisaz, the wolf, and the wolf protects his pack and does not back down from a challenge. Unlike the bull, who stands his ground unless significantly provoked, the wolf takes the fight to his adversary. He is driven by a passionate internal fire that can warm but also burn. If you don't heed the wolf's growl, he will eventually bite. Thurisaz, the rune, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but we're just going to go with it. Thurisaz has an element of chaos, destructive natural forces, aggression, and conflict. These are united for the purpose of defense and protection. It represents a tendency towards change through catharsis, purging, and cleansing fire. Thurisaz is the sharp and painful stab of the thorn that jolts us awake and into awareness. So, this card, the keywords are protection, passion, defense, conflict, and male potency. The second rune card that we pulled today, Wunjo, and this is the hummingbird. The hummingbird is joyful as he dances in between the flowers. His happy energy and satisfaction and harmony with life bring his wishes into being. He dances his dance, surrounded by the jewel-like flashes of his friends and family. Wunjo, with its ecstatic energy, is a most welcome rune in the reading. It has a certain bittersweetness as the final rune of the first Ait, bringing the whisper of change or a shift, like the first rays of the sunset after a perfect day. When this delightful rune pops up, you can expect joy, fellowship, and harmony, a symbol of well-being. It brings love, prosperity, and fulfillment. So we've got joy and harmony with chaos. And self-control, the balance between daring action and careful planning. Very interesting. Let's see what else we have for today here. Next, we have the Herbal Astrology. And the card is number 47, the Skull Cap. Skull Cap, or stillness. Stillness after the storm. Let go of control, trust in life, surrender to the divine plan, break open. So we've got self-control here telling us to find our control through consistent effort, and the skull cap telling us to let go. So the skull cap's scientific name comes from the Latin word scutella. It means a small dish or tray. This describes the shape of the plant at the base of the flowers, which resembles a miniature skull. A little closer look there. In traditional Chinese medicine, the roots of the species Scutellaria bicalensis have been widely used for more than 2,000 years to treat cancer, lung and respiratory infections, colds, bacterial pneumonia, liver imbalances, hypertension, insomnia, inflammation, and diarrhea. The Cherokee and other North American tribal peoples use skullcap to ceremonially initiate young girls into womanhood. The Cherokee created decoctions of the root to treat different kinds of pain, kidney problems, and to stimulate the reproductive systems. The Iroquois used an infusion of the powdered roots to prevent smallpox and to keep the throat clear. During the 19th and 20th centuries, the eclectic physicians prescribed skullcap for nervousness, exhaustion, muscle spasms, heart disorders, hysteria, uncontrollable muscle tremors, and convulsions. Spiritually, skullcap is used to bind oaths and consecrate commitments. It is a useful ally in the initiation rituals, imprinting the vows made to oneself or between lovers. Skullcap is ruled by Plato, the archetype representing our will and power, which ties our relationship to our inner authority and leadership. The guidance for this card is, the storm has passed. You've just weathered or are weathering a storm. Ground deeply into the present moment. If you feel fear, find consolation in stillness as it readapts. The medicine of Scorpion embodies the stillness of darkness, and it assists by attempting sudden change with ease and calm. If you're feeling exhausted, drained, or depleted, this is the time to pause and withdraw to your cave. You're in the process of rebuilding after the storm. Don't rush. Reflect. Take the time to birth a new structure that supports the new version of yourself. So we just went through the storm, through the chaos, and we are now needing the stillness, the calm, the peace, the harmony as we go into our prosperity. As we go into a time, we're moving from defense and protection to a time of prosperity and pleasure. Giving into the divine spirit. Letting go of some of that self-control. Okay, next we have the unicorns cards here with number 7, not a horse, direction. The not a horse card in this deck stands for transformation. As you continue your journey down the winding path, suddenly along a fork diverges and you are left stunned and unsure which way to go. When all seems lost and uncertain, a glimmer of hope appears. You follow the light and are stunned to find the mighty steed. It is a horse, but not just any horse. Look more closely. Allow the transformation to occur. No, this is no ordinary steed. It is the mighty unicorn steed, sent with strong legs and swift wings of flight to guide you along your path. So imagine a fork in the road before you. As you gaze down the path of possibilities, perhaps uncertain and daunted, take comfort. You are not alone. The unicorn steed stands right beside you and grants you the gift of forward vision. Suddenly, your path is clear. This card encourages us to take a hike, take a walk, Intentionally walk with purpose and feel each step. Go where you need to go and allow your stroll to sharpen your heart and mind with purpose and direction. We have here an affirmation card, happiness. Your happiness is infectious. Keep on spreading your joy. So we've got the joy, happiness, harmony, and joy here. Now let's take a look at our Monsters Tarot deck, our Universal Monsters Tarot deck. We have, first off, the 8 of Candles. Okay. And the 8 of Candles is a card of immediate action. Seize the moment and do the thing that's been on your mind, but leave the flaming torches at home. Welcome the boldness of the 8 of Candles and put your dream into action. So this is a card for action, even though over here we've got stillness. So a lot of opposite forces here, chaos and the harmony, stillness and action, transformation. We also drew the Queen of Crypts inverse. And in the inverse, this card is, have you been feeling extra sensitive with your intuition on high alert? You could benefit from a retreat from your daily routine to give yourself time to process everything that you've been dealing with. Okay, so we've had the storm that we've been through and the not a horse card, the unicorn steed, telling us to go out into nature, take a walk, change up our routine. And then this one here is telling us the same thing, retreat from your daily routine. Give yourself time to process the storm, process what you've been dealing with. Next is the 2 of Crypts card. That right there. The 2 of Crypts. Don't worry, this new infatuation won't leave you mourning. In fact, you're likely just starting an invigorating and thrilling partnership. Whether it's a romantic or creative union, it's bound to be successful. New starts, creative endeavors, possibly romance. And the 8 of Castles. The 8 of Castles. Renfield discovers his higher purpose serving Dracula and fully immerses himself in being an apprentice to his dark master. Partnerships, perhaps? Similarly, you are being called to stop turning your wheels and direct your attention to what you truly love. If you aren't certain where your passions lie, this is a good time to explore what gets your heart racing. So you've got a new start, a transformation, moving from the chaos, the storm, moving into stillness and joy, new partnerships, a new start, following your passions, following what calls to you. See if we can get a little bit of clarification here from the Light Seers Tarot. First card we've got here is Temperance. So the blending of energies, harmony, moderation, masculine and feminine balance, fluidity of time, meditation, the perpetual motion of life, neutrality, restraint, patience and purpose, self-control, temperance, harmony. And we've got our Tower moment. We went through that storm. We've had the changes through the storm. Unexpected change, chaos. We had the chaos. The rug pulled from beneath your feet, beliefs challenged, new awareness and perspectives. Destruction, being unsure of who you are. When you're unsure of who you are, And you need to take that walk, get that perspective, get back in touch with your intuition so that you can figure out your passion, figure out your path. But you have to have that temperance. You have to have the harmony and peace to get you through that transformation. And finally here, Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords is a thought leader, unbiased decision making, an excellent communicator, wise and logical counsel, integrity and honesty, being perceptive, intelligence, being direct, seeking truth. So we need to take that stillness, that break, the walk, the change of routine, find our peace, find our balance, and then we can come through it with more wisdom. We've weathered the storm, and now it's time for us to move past it. Now it's time for us to try a different way, to follow our new path, to follow our passions, our new creative endeavors, our new relationships, and find our happiness. And now for our excerpt from Psy Touch by Betty McLain. Chapter 1. In her dreams, she had a family. Her mother and father laughed and smiled while watching the grandchildren playing in the backyard. A small boy would run and climb the ladder to the slide. A young girl sat on the swing, going higher and higher until she finally jumped out, a giggling cannonball, and splashed into a pile of leaves. She would stand and sprint back to the swing and do it again. Sunlight reflected red highlights off her sandy-colored curls. The smell of rich Sunday cooking filled the house. Freshly baked ham and an assortment of sides were lined out on the counter. The oven timer rang, and her mother pulled out the pecan pie to let it cool. Lexi would lean against her husband and feel him wrap his arms around her while resting his chin on her head. She could never see his face, and whenever she attempted to, the dream would end, so she stopped trying. This was enough. Her father would go to the back door after giving her mom a quick kiss and stealing a cookie from the cooling rack. He called out to the boy and girl, and they dashed inside to eat. "Mommy!" The boy would grab Lexi around the legs and squeeze. She patted his head and told him to follow his sister and go wash up. "Yes, Mom." They would climb the step stool to the sink. "This is perfect," Lexi said. "Yes, it is," a deep voice said from behind her. She turned and her mouth was captured in a hard, passionate kiss. This was perfect, and for these few moments, it was all hers. The vibration of her phone against the nightstand woke Lexi. She stretched, and her sleeve got caught on the metal band around her head, pulling it across her forehead. Cringing, she resisted the urge to rip off the band and gently disengaged the fabric. She swung her legs over the side of the bed, hurried to the bathroom, and slammed the door shut. A drop of blood dripped onto the white tile at her feet. She looked at her reflection and saw a rivulet of blood snaking from the cut just below her hairline. After grabbing the band with both hands, she pressed the disengage button and slipped it away from her head. The moment it was free from her skin and hair, she clenched it and resisted the desire to break it. It was regulated to keep a minimum of 2 at all times, but the spare was in a box in her closet. She couldn't get to it without leaving the bathroom, and she couldn't leave the bathroom without her band on. This was the only crystallized room in her apartment. She couldn't afford to have any others done, and without the protection of the crystals or her inhibitor band, she would be at the mercy of any psi pulses in the area. Even through the crystals, she could sense the subtle vibrations and dim lights from the other people in the building. She couldn't tell what they were doing, but she could get a sense of how many people there were and where they were. After taking a cotton swab from the drawer, she cleaned the cut then applied disinfectant and a liquid bandage. A regular bandage would only get caught on her band and cause it to sit awkwardly on her head. As she dabbed the cut, she noticed the green specks in her otherwise blue eyes and was transported back to the dream. She had her father's eyes. That and her psi power were all she had left of him. How she wished she could live a life like the one she dreamed. At one time, not that long ago, people did live a life like that. Her parents told her stories about their lives growing up, and at work she read similar stories from that time period. That was before the storm. Thank you, and if you enjoyed that excerpt from today's book highlight, Psy Touch by A.D. McLain, just take a look at the links in the description. Thank you. Have a good day. And remember, be the you God sees.